Big y'all know how this shit go, you know. All eyes on me.
What do you guys think hip-hop would be like if Pac never existed?
If he never existed?
We'd still be,
never existed.
I know one thing, because I was thinking about this last night, being on the air and doing that little Tupac set. I think we'd be making a lot more mistakes. Like, I think a lot of people learned from Pac and watched the things that he did and definitely follow his passion. Like artists like Kanye, when they speak out, you get that feeling.
Yeah.
But then also too, like the tragedy, you know? I mean, I think like there's
They know how far not to take
there's
it.
beefs and there's little disagreements in hip hop, but we don't go that far anymore, thank God, because of the.
I mean, it does still happen. And
it does, yeah,
it is
it does.
for sure. Still there, but like I know what you're saying. Like at some level, like when you're at that level over Pac and stuff, like there should be enough people around them that can like settle down and make sure that everybody. You know,
it's like man, this thing can get serious.
I feel like if Pac like hadn't existed, music like hip hop musically wise, like how it would have been set back like 20 years personally, because I felt like he was a face like I'll take it like as I don't know, sports analogy, where face of a franchise, he was like the face of the culture. You know what I'm saying? So like if he didn't exist, I feel like people, households, you know, good or bad, wouldn't have looked and said, oh, this hip hop thing.
Also, not to cut you off, but also you know, he did acting. I remember seeing him in Source magazine. When I seen him in the Carl Kanai ad, I was like, man, what's this about? You know, it was like I need that hoodie or whatever. I think he also showed hip hop that we can do bigger than just make albums.
And just stay in here.
And just just be a rapper. He made it more global.
That's right.
It's hard to think of it in that perspective. I always thought of the question like if Pac was still here,
How would
like
things be
how would things be different? Like where would hip hop be at right now? Would it be different, or would he have changed with the culture as it changed to where it is now, or would he be like not with like the super commercialism or whatever he might see, you know, in different avenues? I'm sure that he'd still be rapping.
I like to envision him like on the Academy Award stage. I feel like Pac had that talent to where he would have been that triple threat. What would they call? I don't know. One of those, the acronym for all the Tony Awards, the Oscars. Like he, I think, could have been one of the first in hip hop to like win a Grammy, win an Oscar, win a Tony, like he had that like chameleon. Like he was a chameleon. Like he was a mad talented cat. Like musically, look at what he's done, but I felt film like he could have been even a bigger star. You know.
One thing too is like not just the music spoke a lot, but like his interviews.
I watch his interviews.
When you look at his
so much.
like, and by standards of like, you know, not just like constantly comparing to like artists that are around now, but stuff like, I find myself with rappers interviewing them sometimes, or just in music in general, artists, and they don't have much to say other than like, oh, I worked on this record and this and this. There's not a whole lot of depth, and when Pac would speak about a record or a project or whatever, or life in general, like you just felt like he had been thinking all day. Like he probably had it. It was just on his mind constantly. Life was just on his mind.
He did have amazing interviews.
I saw this interview, and I think it was like he was barely introducing himself. So he was like, my name's Tupac. It's like two like two and Pac like pocket. Remember that? You'll never get it wrong. But in that same interview, he was talking about how are we so rich in America and people are dying on the street? How are we like getting millions of dollars in the lottery and there's people without food or shelter? Like in that same interview where he's that new artist. You got to think of when a new artist comes in, we see them all the time that are just like, let's talk about my this, my that, and this is what I'm coming out with. And they're not thinking about these issues.
And you could attribute a lot of that to like, I mean, for his mom, Afeni Shakur, you know, like just her involvement in the Black Panther movement and whatnot, and her just, you know, standing up for something in itself. You know what I'm saying? So
looking at you know the first Tupac album here, and I think about one of my favorite Pac albums is Me Against the World. And thinking about how that was recorded in jail, or he wrote it in jail. I mean, I just thought like he just always had his eye on the prize, and some of his most honest work came from his pain, which made me love him that much more, because it's like, man, like you said, Ree, as an artist getting that honesty, we don't get that from every artist. And hearing it from him, it was like you knew right away he was the truth. I mean, what are some of your favorite Tupac albums or individual songs even that stand out to you guys?
Specifically, Me Against the World, the whole album. One
I
of the
agree.
records that like is one of my favorite records from him that just showed a creative outside of like the stuff. Like I also think it's hard to say that because Pac had like a record for everything. Like when I think back
Yeah,
about like,
he has one
like,
for every situation.
If I was like
Yeah.
making, you know, hooking up with a chick in high school or
You
like
had
whatever,
something,
like
right.
there was a song, like
That's
a Pac
true.
soundtrack,
Yeah.
and then
That's
if there was
true.
like me and my boys were going out to go get in trouble or something, we had our soundtrack,
Yeah.
whatever it was. And so like, you know, Pac was really running around it, so it's hard to pick a song. But like one of my favorite, like on the musical tip that he wrote was the record Old School. That's
I
on the
love
Against the
it. So you played that. The
Yeah,
other
yeah,
day.
yeah,
Oh my
I heard
God.
that, yeah.
Just because like,
Yes.
you know, not often enough, like I think like rappers just give each other props and just pay respects to people that just help set up to where they could be in music.
Right.
And even though Pac is now considered like old school, like he made a song called Old School
Yeah,
for even
for
prior to that
everyone.
to kind of
Right.
pay respect to everybody that, you know, opened hip hop or made
Flash,
music
all
that
the-
that
Yeah.
set him up to be able to be Tupac. And
Yeah.
I thought that was like
pretty
a
innovative.
really important piece, at least within the hip hop culture. You know, for
So
us.
true.
Yeah.
So true.
We
And
talking about songs
Yeah.
or albums?
Songs or albums?
Songs are hard, man.
This is the one of the. I mean, if I had to be the nerdy hip hop guy, is the only like album wise. I felt like there was not a collective album that I could point to, which could make for him as a great artist, hip hop wise.
Right.
But Me Against the World was probably one of my favorite and most important Pac records. All Eyes on Me probably
Right there.
right
yeah.
there, right there, because that was a great double album as well. But I felt Me Against the World just like tapped into that emotional.
But the fact that you just compared like Me Against the World, which had probably like not that many tracks, maybe 12 tracks, something,
Yeah,
to, like,
12.
All Eyes on Me that had
Double
like twice as
dip.
many,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
shows how powerful Me Against the World was.
Yeah,
because
right.
every single song he had.
Temptation,
Oh,
Dear
man.
Mama, So Many Tears.
So Many
Yeah.
Tears.
I'm like,
man.
that's my favorite Pac record.
Yeah.
Period.
I love 7 Day Theory a lot. And the thing is, like, when I first got into Pac, the first Pac album I bought coming up as, like, I didn't kind of, like, live, like, live Tupac being here. I kind of got into Pac after he passed. So the first one I got, it's like the 101 of Tupac, the greatest hits.
Right.
And that
Right.
was amazing in itself. You get to have a taste of what he did for every.
That's crazy.
bit.
So your first experience was like the greatest hits, and then you went back and
Yeah,
you
I
liked it
had
too?
to.
So,
yeah, because
so
then.
changes, right?
Yeah,
was like
Changes
the
in that.
single.
Wow.
Remember
And let me tell you why Changes is so dope to me. Like at the end when he's like, we need to watch the way we live, we need to
Yes.
watch the way
Yeah.
we eat.
Yes.
Like who even brings up eating habits?
Right.
Like Pac knew that already. Like yo, watch the way you eat, watch the way you treat each other.
So you did
like-
some Biggie in that too?
No, it Changes. So wait, are you
I got
bringing
watch
up
the way
Biggie?
no, he said
Vinny?
watch the way you eat. He made a
Yeah.
he made a
I
fat
didn't
joke.
know.
Oh my
I did
gosh,
not.
It's fucked up.
I
no.
did not. You did, but.
Special thanks to Robert Wayne Footwear and Doc Martin.